All right, what's up, guys? VV back with another video. And in today's video, we're going to be doing a topic of the day style video. We're going to be talking about, I'm going to be talking about what I think about the current state of the game of One Piece, TCG, OP10, post bans here in the West, okay? This is just focusing on the West. I'm sorry if you're over in the East, my apologies, but I don't really have anything I can say about that because I'm not playing in that format currently. So we're going to be focusing in on that on today's video. I do have one game at the end. At the end of today's video, I have one game on the sim I'm going to show off of a Big Mom Pirates Blue-Yellow Ace deck. So be sure to stick around for that if you don't really care for these. This is probably going to be more of like a podcast style video today where I'm just going to be talking about what I think about the current state of the game. Okay, so if you don't really care for that kind of stuff, you'll be able to hop to the end of the video. I got one game lined up there. Speaking of which, I will have everything time-stamped in the general description, like usual, and I'll have all relevant deck lists and links and things like that in the comments section below. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please do not hesitate to put those down in the comments section below, or hop on the VV Theory Discord, link is in the channel description. Alright, so now we're going to go and get into today's video. The first thing we're going to do, let me break this down real quick before we hop into it. Like, how do we determine how good a game is doing, right? How do we determine how well the meta is in the game or how healthy it's doing and things like that? How good a game is doing in general. And I think one of the #1 indicators, this is just my personal opinion, is when you look at high-level tournament results. We're not talking about locals, right? That's a little bit different. But when we look at the highest level of tournament results we can get our hands on, and we see what kind of variety is in that, that top level, I think that is one of the best ways, one of the best indicators of how good or bad a game is doing. For example, say we look at a regional level tournament in this game, and in the top, let's just say in the top 8, there's like 2 different decks or 3 different decks at the most. Well, that would be a little bit concerning, right? If there were only 3 different decks in the top 8, which means, the game doesn't have a lot of possibilities, right? A lot of variety. It's just these decks are running rampant, especially if it's 3 or less decks in the top 8. But if you start seeing like 4 or 5 different decks in the top 8, that's not bad. Once you get to the 4 or 5 point, that's when I think the game is like, okay, this seems like it's a pretty healthy game. All of these different decks can win at the highest level. Okay, so that I think is a big, big indicator. Because imagine if you were playing a game where there's only like 1 to 3 decks in the top 8, that would be a pretty bad sign, right? That'd be a little bit scary. It's like, okay, it seems like one deck is just busted and it's running away with everything. Okay, so with that in mind, the first thing we're going to do is we are going to head over to eggmanevents.com. I will link this website down in the comments section below. It's just EGMAN events.com. And again, like I said, I will link this in the comments section below. But Eggman has all the results over the past weekend for all the regionals. There were 4 different regionals. He has 3 of them, actually. I think there was a 4th one in Athens, if I'm not mistaken. I believe there was a 4th tournament over this past weekend in Athens that's not on his website yet. But he has 3 out of those 4 tournaments with really, really nice looking results we're going to check out. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is the Booster Boxes Virginia Regionals. Okay, in the top 32, first of all, look at all these different decks in the top 32. Not bad at all, right? So we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 different decks in the top 32. That is a pretty good sign in general. Now, this was an 850 player tournament. Let's go ahead and look at like the top 4, top 8. And here we go. First one up here. This already looks very good, right? We're seeing a purple deck, a red deck, a blue deck, and a black deck in the top 4. 4 totally different leaders in the top 4. That's usually a very good sign, right? That's a good start. But what colors are missing? We are missing a yellow and a green leader. Let's go ahead and look down through here and see if we can find one. I'm pretty sure there is. Yeah, there's a yellow leader first here, still in the top 16. Very nice. And I do believe there's a Joy Bonnie down here. I have kind of glanced over these lists before this video. In the top 32, we still have a green Jewelry Bonnie list. So really good stuff there. And like I said, what was like 11 or 12 different leaders in the top 32? Very nice. So that's a really good start, especially... Excuse me, another thing we need to look at is who is winning all the tournaments. It would be one thing if there's only like, hang on. It would be one thing if there were like 5 or 6 different decks in the top 8, but one deck keeps winning all of them. Let's keep in mind, like, okay, the winner of this tournament was a purple Luffy, and in the top 4, we had 4 out of the 6 colors represented in the game. Really good stuff here. Now, let's go over to the next tournament, This next one was in London, okay? So this was the UKTC's London Regional. This is a 963 player tournament, and check out the top 32 here. Now, this one doesn't have as many results, but it still has quite a few. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different decks represented in the top 32. I shouldn't say it doesn't have as many results. What I meant to say was it doesn't have as much variety, but still, it had how many? It was 3, 6, 9 different decks in the top 32. So not too bad. Now let's go ahead and break this one down. Let's look at the top 4 here. And we have 2 green-purple limb decks in this one. Now, remember, in the previous tournament that we looked at, there was no green deck that we saw until all the way down at top 32, and then yellow wasn't represented until top 16. But in this list, we're seeing a green-purple list winning right off the top here, first and second place. Very, very solid showing here for green at this tournament, and this was an even bigger tournament than the one before. So first place, second place is green and purple. Third and fourth is red and black. And then we get into a blue-black deck in the top 8. And then, again, let's try to find, so what was missing? So we see green represented, we see purple, we see red, we see black. Now we need to find blue. Okay, well, top 8 still had blue right here. And then at the beginning of top 16, we had blue Doflamingo. And then what are we missing? Yellow. Let's see where the first yellow deck is. Not bad. Whoops, did not mean to click on it. Here's the actual deck list. Definitely did not mean to do that. My apologies, guys. Let me get that off the screen. And here we go. So top 16, a yellow Eustace Kid deck. Which I think was the same thing in the other tournament, a top 16 yellow deck. So again, we're seeing every color represented in this game in the top 32 of these really large-scale tournaments. I would say that yellow and green are probably on the lower end of that from what we've seen so far. But still, the fact that they're winning seems good. Okay, so now, again, sticking to our model here, in the first tournament, we saw a purple Luffy win. And now in this one, we're seeing green-purple Lim win. Now let's go and check out the third tournament. Okay, here we go. This one was in Pasadena. This was the Pasadena Regionals. This is one of the smaller tournaments, over the weekend with only quote unquote 512 players. It's still a 9-round Swiss, best of 1. Okay, and this was by Core TCG. And let's do the top 16 breakdown. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 represented in this. 9 different decks represented in the top. The top 32. Now let's go and look at them. Blue Nami winning this one. So now we've had a purple deck, a green purple deck, and a blue deck winning these 3 different tournaments. All different leaders across 3 different colors. So we do like to see that. I know some people are going to say it's kind of cheating to use Lim as like a, it's a multicolored leader, right? Technically 2 purple decks won, but it's not the same if you think about it, especially in the case of green purple Lim. That really is mainly a green deck with some purple ramp built in. And the purple ramp is not even built into the deck. It's actually built into the leader effect. So really there was a purple deck that won the first tournament, purple Luffy, green purple Lim, which is really just a green deck on the second one we looked at, and now a blue Nami deck over here on the third tournament we're looking at. And notice this, purple Luffy purple's doing very well right now, I have to say. But then we have, so let's go ahead and break this down. A yellow deck breaking into the top 4, Eustace Kid, looking very good here. So we have a blue deck, a purple deck, a yellow deck, and a red deck, and a green deck, and a black deck. So all 6 colors represented in the top 8 of this tournament. That is, again, guys, I know I sound like a broken record at this point, but that is a very, very good sign for this game, and I think it shows a very healthy format. This might be, guys, tell me what you think down in the comment section below. This might be the healthiest format we've seen in this game's history. I know the game is still very young. That's probably not saying very much, but does it get much healthier than this? We're in one of these tournaments, a 500-player tournament. In the top 8, every single color is represented. Now, one thing I do want to mention that I'm only going to mention this, we're just going to mention this in passing kind of thing here. We're not going to really dive into it deeply or anything, but I think one thing you will notice, and I've noticed this for pretty much as long as I played the game, there's usually a major lack of dual colored leaders until you get into certain leaders, like in the case of green purple Lim. Let me see if there's any other examples in this list. Blue purple Reiju, not bad. There's always a few diehard blue purple Reiju players out there that are very skilled, very talented players who end up breaking their way into the top 32. You love to see that, but generally speaking, you usually don't see many multicolored leader results in these big tournaments, and I think there's there's a little bit of a power gap between them. And if you think about all the leaders that have been that are banned currently in the game, they are dual colored leaders that were too strong, and that's how they were winning. If you actually think about it. I won't dive too much into that. Don't take too much out of what I just said there. That was just a quick, clumsy observation I've made. Let's just call it. I do think in the game of One Piece, they have not quite figured out the dual colored leader spot in this game just yet, but hopefully they figure out more over time. And it looks like with green, purple limb, maybe they're finally starting to crack that code. Okay, so that's the results from the three regionals that were posted on Eggman's website. And guys, I have to say I'm very happy with the way it turned out. And I will give a spoiler warning: the fourth tournament that we're not covering in today's video. Actually, we kind of can. Hang on one second, guys. I think we actually can over on OnePieceTopDecks.com. I will also link this website in the comment section below. It was a red-green smoker list, guys, over in Athens. Now, this would have been the smallest tournament we were going to go over today with, like, as far as the regionals go. This was a 256-player regional. But check this out. Thanks to the people over there at OnePieceTopDecks.com, we do have some information. It looks like at the Athens regional, notice it's all these. We have Red Green Smoker, Blue Dofi, Red Zoro, Eustace Kid, and Shanks showing up in here. A Red Purple Luffy, a Blue Black Usopp. We have quite a few different decks represented, but not very many of them, unfortunately, so we don't know what all was in their top 32. But whatever the case is, seeing a red-green smoker deck win this one. Okay, so think about that. So in the first list we looked at, Purple Luffy winning first place at the 850-player Virginia Beach. In the 900-player tournament in London, we had a green-purple Limb getting first and second place. And then we had a blue Nami winning all the way, or in the last one we just looked at, the 512-player Pasadena Regional. And then in this fourth one here in the Athens Regional, first place on a red-green smoker list. Again, can you ask for a much healthier meta? Again, you guys tell me what y'all think in the comment section below. All things considered, this looks pretty good for us. So that's one of the first things I wanted to look at. We will look at one more site. Actually, I have to give some credit to another one. I love all these result websites. This one's called gumgum.gg. I will move the overlay just so you guys can see this real quick. At the very top, notice that's what the little insignia looks like, or the little icon or whatever. It's gumgum.gg is the actual website. GG is the domain or whatever. And it's not .com or .org. It's .gg. Okay, now let me get this back on. There we go. Now, this is the West OP10. Notice this light blue box here. You can move things around however you want to on here, but we are going to be checking out West OP10. That's what we're focused on today, and this is from the last 2 weeks of flagship plus level events. So in other words, just the most competitive events. And if you look at things on here, I think it kind of shows what we expected. Red, blue, black, and purple are pretty well represented. And then green and yellow, they're kind of on the smaller side of that. Green, purple, Limb popping in there as well, of course. I'm just going to, guys, I personally am going to consider Limb a green deck. Yes, I know it's green and purple, but it really is just a green deck if you think about how, like, the cards inside it. Okay, so, green's doing pretty well, and it looks like yellow's probably the straggler right now. It looks like yellow's struggling quite a bit, but we'll have to see what happens in the future. Maybe we just haven't figured out the best yellow deck to deal with this kind of format. But it looks like the format is starting to really, it's starting to populate here. We're starting to see how things are. It's really starting to take form, to take shape. Red is doing very well, like I said. Blue, black, and purple. I think these are your four main colors in the game right now. And then green is right after that, followed by yellow. Blue, black, Usopp's doing very well. Rob Lucci's still hanging in there in the same way that Doflamingo is. They're just very solid. There's really no way around it. They're just very solid decks. They do what they're supposed to do pretty consistently, and therefore you see results from them. Zoro's hanging in there as well. Shanks is kind of the red deck of choice, though, at the moment. So good stuff right there. Now, another thing we have to consider is this is going to kind of break into almost like a market watch kind of thing right now. Let me go to shop all real quick for One Piece, and then we will talk about that. Let me go full screen as well. The other thing you have to consider about how well a game is doing, especially for the newer players out there, you might be asking yourself, well, okay, that's all very cool and all, like all the stuff you're showing, but how easy would it be for me to get into the game? Or if you're just a veteran player, you're trying to get someone into the game, it's like, okay, well, how much will it cost, a new player to get into this game? Well, guys, if you compare One Piece's prices to other TCGs, honestly, there's like one, maybe two games that have lower prices than One Piece, the trading card game right now. And that would actually be Pokemon and Digimon. There might be one or two others I'm not aware of very small games, but generally speaking, I would say One Piece is in the conversation for like top 3 cheapest card games to play right now. Okay, so now after looking at the results we just looked at, you know, One Piece, you know, I shouldn't even use TCG Player for this, guys. We will actually use, what's it called? Good old Limitless for this part. Let me go full screen. Like, let's go ahead and look at how much decks cost right now as a whole. And I know we did just recently do a Market Watch video about 3 days ago at the time you're recording and putting this out. For those who may not be aware, for those who are not aware, I do a Market Watch video on the 1st and 15th of every single month. Okay, but we're still going to kind of talk about this just to kind of put things in perspective. To get into the game of One Piece, there are options for you to get into this game for well under $100, and we're going to look at those first, and then we'll look at the more expensive ones for people who don't have to build around a budget. Okay, so Doflamingo, that was a deck we saw pop up in many of the top 8 lists we just saw. Okay, this list right here, I'm just going to click on a 3rd place list here. In fact, we'll click on my buddy, Joey Ross. This is someone, in fact, two of the players on here, Coco and Joey. These are 2 people I know. Shout out to both of them. Big grass, very, very good players, especially on Blue Doflamingo. And we'll look at Joey's list. This is Joey Ross from Heart Pirates TCG. Look at this, guys. This list is $80. And remember, we just saw this is a top 16 level list. This is really a top 8 level list, pretty much wherever you go. This is a list that you can break into the top 8 with if piloted correctly, you know, with enough practice, with enough reps in. And this is a list that's $20 under $100, right? So this is an $80 list here, USD, of course. And it is up there amongst the best decks in the entire game. Okay, so that's the first one I wanted to show you guys, was Blue Doflamingo. Next up, let's go over to Blackbeard. So we saw Blackbeard popping up in the top 8 in some of those games as well. Here's one from Vincent Huang, and let's check out his list. $60 list here, guys. Very, very affordable. That is, you love to see that. And here's the other thing too about this list that's kind of interesting. Doflamingo is an $80 list, and that's a pretty accurate. No matter how you build it, you're going to sit around the $80 price point. But in Blackbeard, if you're trying to just build a cheap deck, very, very tight budget, you can build this list for under $20 just by getting rid of the card that's above my, you know, right above me on the screen here, this card called Finger Pistol. You guys can't see it, but here it is on the left as well where my mouse is making the circle. That's $45 for a playset of this card. If you just remove this card for anything else on the list, hey, go up a Vasco shot, go up a 2K counter Shiryu, go up one of these Shiryus, and go up, I don't know, My Era Begins. You can move some cards around, and it will not be the same. I'm not saying it will be the exact same, but if you're just trying to build and play this game on a serious, strict budget, you can make Blackbeard into about a $15 to $20 deck list. It's hard to beat that in any trading card game, for those who are not aware, for the newer players out there. Okay, so there's Blackbeard. I do at least want to show one more. So we did Doflamingo, Blackbeard, and then remember what I was just saying about Blue Purple Reiju. This is a deck that some people get onto me for it. I don't think people think I should be recommending this to the newer players. So let me say it like this. If you're new to One Piece but you're not new to TCGs, Blue Purple Reiju is an outstanding list to get into this game with. First of all, look how cheap it is. I have not even seen this OP10 list we're about to see. Okay, I got scared. I was like, man, what if this list is not cheap anymore? But no, guys, this is a $34 list. Let's just call it $35. We'll round it up. And guys, it has a lot of tools in here. It has incredible removal in the form of Red Rock. And look at this list, guys. Very spicy. Running Gamma Knife. You love to see that. Very, very strong event here. And then it has ways. If you learn this leader, guys, it will basically teach you all the ins and outs of how to play the One Piece trading card game, because it has tons of activate mains, on plays, graveyard recursion, card draw, removal, board flood. This is just one of those decks, guys. It is a blast to play this leader, especially as you figure it out and you learn how to do it properly. It only gets better. And in OP11, we're in OP10 right now in the West. In OP11, guess what? This leader is going to be getting some support. Okay, so very good stuff there. So that's 3 decks I wanted to show off right away. Oh, actually, okay, almost forgot. There's one other deck I have to show that is just insanely budget, guys. Now, I have not checked this one, so if this isn't a super budget list, we'll move to one that is. But this is a 5th place list. This was at the London Regional we looked at. Watch this, guys. $35 for this deck list. So again, this is another incredibly good sign for a game. It's showing health. It's showing that even new players can jump into this game and compete right away. Just instantly, they can compete at the highest level if they become good enough, of course. Yeah, you always have to have some skill. And there's even one more I want to show off. Now, this one's kind of a trick before we get into the more expensive deck list, guys. Excuse me. This list right here for Green Purple Limb. This one's kind of a trick, and I'm going to show you guys why in a minute. So this is the first and second place list, and they're about the same. They're very, very similar. Watch this. This is a $200 deck list, but there's a trick. There's a trick to this one. You don't have to pay $200 for this deck list. You can make it well under $100. You can probably put in like the $50 to $60 price range just by changing out this one card. This 4-cost, 5,000 power, 2K counter, Odyssey searchable, 2K counter. That's really what it is. Okay, you can replace this card with any 2K counter you want to. And even this Usohachi, which is $40 for a play set of 4 of these, you can replace this with a card named Izo. So again, if you're just trying to play a deck that just got first place, you can replace 2 utility 2K counters in the form of Adio and Usohachi with an Izo, and then legitimately whatever card you want to put here in the place of this. I mean, maybe even put in, let me see something if they're running Ace. I don't think this list is running Ace, guys. So yeah, let me just show you guys real quickly for the newer players out there. Yeah, I wanted to make sure. This is what you can replace it with. There's a card called Portgosti Ace. Let me search up by card name. You can replace the card we just looked at. Now, it was $150 for the card we just looked at, the Adio. You can literally just take that card out and put 4 of these in. They're 12 cents each. Okay, so you can take out $150 and put in $1 worth of value. And then one more card I want to mention as well is the Izo to replace the Usohachi with, 20 cents for this card. Okay, so you can make the deck we just looked at so much more affordable just by making those 2 quick revisions, removing the $40 worth of cards here, the $150 worth of cards here, and then boom, you're looking at like a $20 to $40 deck list. It is hard to beat that for a list that just won a regional level, top level tournament. Now, there are some decks that are more on the pricier side, and they are harder to build cheaper, but we'll at least look at some of these. Here's a second place list right here at the Virginia Beach tournament that we just looked at earlier, the Virginia Beach Regional by someone named Yost. Okay, $250 for this list, and this is basically your premier top-tier, top-end red deck. And this one can probably be made a little bit cheaper, but it won't be pretty. It's mainly because of this card right here. It's $90 for 3 of this card that it runs, and you can take this out technically. It won't be the exact same. I'm not saying it'll be the exact same, but for the budget players out there, you can remove 3 of these Silver's Rayleighs, and you can put in 3 Edward Newgates. Let me see if they're already running Edward Newgate. They might already be running it. In fact, I don't think they are, guys. Unless I overlooked it, my apologies. You can remove 3 of these Silver's Rayleigh for this card named Edward Newgate. We're going to look that up real quick, just so people know, for those who are not aware. It's this card right here, and this is about a $5 card right now. So you'll be taking out $90 from the deck and putting in a $15 card. Okay, so let's see what that does to it. So if we end up taking off $90 from this list, it drops into the $160 price range. It still ends up being about $175 after everything's said and done. And like I said, this is like the premier red tournament deck right now, but I think you can easily make this deck work for under $200. Okay, so really good stuff there from red. I do want to move over to a few other decks. Not so much. Some of these are a little bit outdated, guys. Black Yellow Luffy's not really a thing currently after recent bans that happened, so we're going to skip over that. Blue Nami's another one. This one just won, and this is insanely cheap, guys. Watch this. This first place list from Adam. First place list from the Pasadena Regional from Adam Cisneros. $60 for this list, guys. Now, understand this. This is another one like Reiju. I have to preface this with, if you're a new player to if you're a new player to trading card games, I wouldn't actually recommend this list. It's an alternate win condition list. Excuse me. So I don't think you'll learn the best fundamentals by learning this list. But if you're not new to trading card games, if you've been playing trading card games for many years and you're trying to get into One Piece and you like alternate win condition decks, this would be perfect for you. Okay. All right. So there are plenty of other deck lists to go over on here. I will link this site in the comment section below as well. You can check out all these at your own leisure. There are much more expensive decks you can find in this game. But honestly, as everyone just saw, we see what's winning, right? We see what's doing well. We see what's winning. So why not just go with, build whatever you want to, build whatever leader or color you want to get into. But there are a lot of really good cheap options in this game, and I think that shows how healthy the game is currently. Okay, so we went over the color balance and representation. We've gone over prices, and now we're going to talk about upcoming product releases. This is another thing, guys. This is another thing that's kind of interesting. Maybe not for everyone. That's right. Make sure you're sitting down for this next part, guys, because we have a lot of stuff coming up. Make sure you're sitting down, make sure you're calm and relaxed as we go over this. Make sure your wallet is in another room, because it will be screaming at you from across the house, that's for sure, if it sees this. But watch this. Okay, so what just came out, guys? And again, this is just the West. I apologize to my listeners from the East, but look what just came out. In March 14th, we had ST21 come out, and we had March 21st, we had OP10 come out. Okay, that was March. What comes after March? We got April. We had a little bit of a breather, unless you bought up some of these One Piece card game 10 pack set volume 1 TS01s. Okay, unless you bought these, you had a little bit of a breather in April, right? But then May comes around and EB02 comes out. Okay, stay with me. We only get 2 breaks. April was like a pseudo break that we're in right now, and watch this, we only get 1 more. So in May 9th, we get EB02. And then let's keep going up. There's a bunch of other little releases. I'm only going to go over the card releases, though. Then we get to June. So we go April. We're in April right now. May, we get EB02. June, we get OP11. Okay? And then in June, it doesn't stop there. There are 6 releases coming out in June. Like I said, I told you to hide your wallet. I know that thing's screaming at you right now. But we have 6 starter decks, 6 brand new starter decks coming out in June, along with OP11. Okay, June is going to be brutal. Then we get a little break in July. Okay, we get a little tiny break in July, but watch this. August comes around, OP12. September, ST22. October, PRB02. November, OP13. Guys, absolutely brutal, total brutality. It's just going to be month after month after month of new releases, but that's a good thing too, right? I know for some people, it's like, yeah, speak for yourself. I know, but I'm just saying, not everyone has to collect all these cards, right? There are certain people who only play certain colors in the game or certain leaders in the game, so you might not have to pick up everything, but for people like myself who have to have every single card, a play set of every single card, yeah, I'm going to be just, like clawing my way through these months, guys, on my, literally just crawling across the finish line if I can, getting all these cards coming out. So that's a good thing to see. We're not going to spend too much time on these new product releases, just seeing all this stuff coming out in this way, because remember, I'm going to have to segue this portion now into what they're doing for us next year. For those who are not aware, for the newer players in the game, or for those who just didn't know, even if you're not a newer player, we are an entire set behind the East right now over here in the West. So that's why I kept having to specify, like, hey, this is for the Western audience mainly, right? Because we're not in the East, and the East is one set ahead of us. Next year, 2026, they're catching us up. I don't know exactly when. I don't know if we'll be caught up by the beginning of 2026 or by the end of 2026. Whatever the case is, they're supposed to be catching us up with the East, and when they do that, we'll all be on the same release schedule, once we get to that point. So all of these upcoming releases are a good thing. I know it's going to be a little bit stressful at first. I know that, but it is a really good thing that they're catching us up with the East. Okay? And with them doing that, they're also going to be implementing something called block rotations. And with block rotations, that is what I hope is going to allow this game to stay healthy for the foreseeable future. And that way, when you look at the stuff we just looked at, I'm going to go back to Limitless, and I'm just going to go to Blue Doflamingo for now. And we'll bring up Coco's deck here. This is someone I know who goes to my locals. They both used to go to my locals, Joey and Coco, who we were talking about for the Blue Dofy decks here. But big shout out to those guys. Awesome job. They're kicking butt on the more competitive scene. We'll leave his deck up in the background here. Guys, these super cheap decks, I have a feeling with block rotations. I've heard a bunch of people say different things. Y'all can tell me what y'all think in the comment section below, by all means. But a lot of people have this idea that block rotations are actually going to make us spend more money. Well, I mean, it's not going to make people like me spend more money because I just buy every single set that comes out. It never changes, right? I get every single card as soon as it comes out. Well, not as soon. Like, within a few weeks of it coming out, I order every single card that I need. But I think this is going to keep the game very, very cheap because as more and more new cards come out, you know, the old cards are rotating out. So what ends up happening is you have these extremely solid, you know, really good decks from the past that are rotating out. So when the new players come in and they want to try to play those decks, they're not faced with that. They're not faced with having to learn those decks if they're still winning, you know, in the format. And that's what makes, if you look at some other games like Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, Flesh and Blood, and I don't know many more off the top of my head, to be honest with you guys, but if you look at some of these games that have extended formats, I'm just going to call them extended formats. I know they have technical names in every single game. Bear with me, guys. I understand. Just understand. I'm just going to call it an extended format for this example. Anytime you have these formats that extend way, way into the past, yeah, of course, the games are going to become insanely expensive. That's how that works, right? Because what happens, they have these cards that come out. Let's say a card came out in 2023 in this game, right? Like that's when One Piece came into the scene, is 2023. Okay, well, if that card is back then, and then we go 10 years into the future, and let's say we're in 2033, right, from 2023 to 2033, well, those cards that came out back in 2023, if they're not reprinted, their price skyrockets. You know, the price becomes astronomical if the game is still being played and the game is still competitive, because there are no reprints. Then they have to waste entire times, you know, like they have to waste all this time doing reprints. You know what I'm saying? And that takes up printer space, printer time. I'm not saying they can't do it effectively. I know there's going to be people out there who are saying like, well, if they would do it the right way, it would work. Okay, I hear you, but we're all human beings, right? We're all humans. I get it. And people are trying to throw money at Bandai right now, guys. I think a lot of people don't understand. People are trying to throw money at Bandai, especially to get into tournaments. You know, a lot of these tournaments are capped out. They have limits on them. You can't even get into all these tournaments, right? You know, they fill up too quickly. People are willing to pay extra money just to get into these tournaments. Bandai just can't do anything about it. The game is it's exploding in popularity, right? The game is just growing so quickly. It's hard for them to keep up. I'm not saying they couldn't have done a better job by now, but I think they're doing a lot of really good things, all things considered, guys. That's just me personally. That's just me personally. And I do think this block rotation coming out is going to be a great thing, guys. I know a lot of people, even some content creators, don't like it. I respect everybody's opinion on it. But when you look at the cheapest format in Magic, it is obviously, you know, the one where, well, I don't know about Commander. Well, unless you get into like EDH, that gets, you know, competitive EDH gets really crazy in the prices. But when you look at how cheap Standard is compared to Modern and Legacy or anything other than just Standard, it's all about being in a 2-year window. It keeps the game cheap. Look at Pokemon. Pokemon's kind of its own animal. I get it. Pokemon, Magic, and now One Piece, though, I think the cheapest way you can play these games is in the 2-year standard windows. Like they're doing 2 to 3 year standard windows. Okay, well, let me see if I have anything else here before we hop into the game for today. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I will say this going forward. There are 3 things I'm hoping to see from Bandai in the near future, not like, you know, tomorrow or something, but in the future. I'm hoping they work on this, because one of the big things I was pushing from the very beginning was block rotations. You know, especially, you know, I won't get into it, but that was something I was really, really pushing for, was block rotations and catching us up with the East, and both of those things are happening. Okay, well, we don't stop there, right? We don't stop there. Let's make the game even better now. Let's make the game better and better and better. And the 3 things I'm really going to start focusing on moving forward is, number 1 is removing tournament caps. I think we need to get away from this idea that tournaments have to be capped, or at least double where it's at right now, right? Like the biggest tournaments we see right now are around 900 to 1,000 players. Well, let's double that. Let's make it where if you just sign up, you can go. I don't know how to get into the logistics of how to work that out. That's not up to me, I'm going to be honest, but I'm hoping that is something they're working on in the future. That's number 1. Number 2 is I do hope eventually they get into the official sim and have an app with ranked built in. I would be very interested in something like that. And a lot of people think like, yeah, but that might cost money. I think if they do that correctly, like how Hearthstone is, it can cost money to like get ahead, but you can stay playing the game competitively for free. I hope they find some type of model similar to that. And then number 3, the last thing, is implementing a pre-sideboard and Pro Tour option in the future. That I would love for that to take place. I would love for in the future there's a pre-sideboard option. I'll talk about that more in a future video. Just think of Flesh and Blood, or look up Flesh and Blood's pre-sideboarding if you're really interested in that, or ask in the comment section below. And then from there, if they introduce something like that, and if they could work on their limited formats, things like sealed or things like extended, then we can get into this idea of a Pro Tour, and then things could get really, really exciting, right? Then things could get really awesome. Okay, well, that's about it, guys. That's it for my state of the game speech here, or address, or whatever you want to call this. And let me summarize by saying this before we get into the game that I have prepared for you today, the Blue Yellow Ace game. I think One Piece is in the best spot it's ever been in. That's just me personally. I know the game is still young. I know the game is still relatively new. It's not even 5 years old yet. It's only 2 years old, but basically going into its 3rd year. That's why we're in Block 3. And this game is the best I've ever experienced in it. There are so many leaders that can actually compete at the highest levels, you know, get you into top 32s and top 16s. The game feels fun to play. They're catching us up with the East. We're getting all these releases. It is just a lot of good things after good things after good things. I am very, very happy with the current state of the game, and I hope the game continues to succeed in the way it does. You guys tell me what y'all think in the comments section below. Do y'all feel the same way? What are some things they can improve on? What are some things they're doing right, things they're doing wrong? Be sure to tell me down in the comments section below. Okay? Now, let's do this, guys. Let's go ahead and move over now to the game I have prepared for y'all. Hang on one second. Got to move this topic of the day out of the way. Put my camera back to where it needs to be. Oh, there we go. It's always jumping around on me at this first part. There we go. Okay. So, I got a game for you guys today. It's a doozy. It's a fun one. Volume is off. Speed is on 2x. Here we go. Before I hit play, I have to say something. This version of Ace, I just recently did like an hour and a half or almost a 2-hour long video on Blue Yellow Ace that was focused on OP11. And today's video is focused on OP11 as well. Notice who I'm going against here, Blue Purple Luffy. And I have to say, guys, this leader is quickly growing on me. It is a lot of fun to play, and I think there's a lot of options in, you know, which direction we can build it. Now, let's do this, guys. This is a Big Mom Pirates version of Blue Yellow Ace. That's right, you heard correctly. Big Mom Pirates version. So, volume is off, speed is on 2x, and here we go. We're going against Blue Purple Luffy. Okay, Blue Purple Luffy and OP11 is considered a pretty good deck. Let's see how things are here. It looks like I'm going to play out the 2-cost Ace. Now, understand, I would typically not do that against any deck that's running removal, but Blue Purple Luffy actually doesn't run much removal, especially removal you would want to use on Ace, the 2-cost character there. They usually run something like Gravity Blade or not even Gravity Blade, I think like Red Rock. You would not want to use Red Rock on that 2-cost character. I can pretty much promise you that. Not that they even could right now. They're on 3 Dawn. So we're going to go ahead and use our leader effect here to put that Ace on top of our deck. We're going to play out the Zeus here, popping the Zoro, drawing the card we put onto our deck. Guys, Zeus with Ace, match made in heaven. We're basically just drawing the 5-cost card we want from the top of our deck. Okay, so here we go. They're going to go and play out the the 4-cost Mr. 2. And they're going to ramp a Dawn. We are going to use our leader effect, putting the 5-cost Ace on top of our life. We're actually going to throw this card into play and get some big attacks in here. Swing for 7, swing for 9, and then I'm going to have a 4 Dawn follow-up. I believe, if I remember this game correctly, it's going to be a Daifuku. Okay, so here we go. Going to play out the 4-cost Daifuku here, or Daifoku, however you say his name. And here we go. I have a 7,000 power body on the board. That's going to be a little bit to deal with. And notice this, guys. They are just now getting to their 8 Dawn turn. That was a 6 Dawn turn. Okay, they did just punish me with a pudding there. That hurts. We don't like that. They're going to swing for 8 into 7. We're going to 2K counter out of this. Let's see what they do next. Okay, they're going to swing 7 into 7. Pause. Why did they do that? Anyone? So why did they do that? They have to leave 2 Dawn active. They have to. They have to leave 2 Dawn active right here because they have no life. They just hit their 8 Dawn turn. They have to leave 2 Dawn active, or I can just 15 into their face here, or 14 or something like that into their face, and that would cost so many resources from their hand, and I would still be able to eat up this board if I needed to. So they're trying to get rid of my board here. They have to leave 2 Dawn active, or they're just going to lose the game on the crackback. Okay, here we go. Well, we're gonna start off by swinging 2 into 1. That card, Mr. 2, is gone. Getting even more value from Zeus, guys. That Zeus KO'd 2 characters and drew me a card. Unbelievable. Daifuku, for those who are not aware, let me go backwards real quick and see if I can pause on this card here. Okay, let me hit play. I'm going to try and pause on Daifuku here. Okay, there we go. This is a 4-cost, 5,000 power character with a 1K counter. It has Dawn ×1 when attacking. You may add 1 card from the top or bottom of your life area to your hand and place up to 1 card from the top of your deck at the top of your life area. So this is like a 4-cost version of the 2-cost Sanji that I showed off in the previous Ace video. The 2-cost Ace, by the way, is also searchable, or not 2-cost Ace, the 2-cost Sanji is what I meant to say. The 2-cost Sanji is also searchable in this deck because I am running Pudding. I'll show the deck list after the game. So these cards are just incredible for what our leader's doing. They actually draw us a card and gain us a life. It's incredible with the leader. Okay, so we're going to swing for 6 here. This is going to force a card from hand because, look at this, guys. They're at 0 life. Okay, perfect. I swing for 6. Now I'm going to swing for 8. Okay, this is going to cost gear 2, and now I'm swinging for 11. I'm going to swing for 11. This is going to cost them a Gum Gum Giant. Now, what's the problem here? Does anyone know the problem with them using Gum Gum Giant here? It's actually a really bad thing for them, right? It's a really bad situation for them. Why? They just went down to 6 Dawn. Now, they do not get to use their leader effect this turn. They will only have 8 Dawn next turn. So that was pretty much a game-ending play right there. The game is pretty much over at this point. So they draw a card for the turn. They go up to 8 Dawn. They did not get to use their leader effect, I don't think, even one time this game. They're just going to go ahead and tap out. They swung 6 into 5. I was going to 1K to get out of that, giving them a Nanual and an Ace, and we were going for lethal next turn. Now, yes, he could have, in response, played out this 8-cost Luffy to go, okay, attach a Dawn to it, trashing a card from hand, the 9-cost Linland. They can't even play out 9 Land, by the way. They have 8 Dawn. So play out the 8-cost Luffy, swing in, attach a Dawn using his effect, 9 into our Ace right here, bouncing our Daifuku back to hand, and going 9 into 7. At which point we could not save the card. It's true that we couldn't save the card, but what does that matter? Next turn, we just swing for 15 at their face. Well, they have a lot of counter. The funny thing is they have a lot of counter in hand, but let's see where to get them. They're at 6K, so 6 would go to 8, 10, 12, 13. They can't get out of it. And we would be able to do that math, by the way. Understand this. We would actually be able to do the math because they would only have 4 cards in hand, right? So 2, 4, 6, 8. If it was all 8Ks, they would only get to 14. 15 gets through every time. Good game to my opponent. That was a fast game. I know that was a fast one. That was a fast one. It was almost more of a tease. But guys, hear me out. Blue Yellow Ace has been really growing on me. I'm really enjoying this leader, and it's starting to really click for me. So this is the leader here. Pause and read this if you don't know what it does. I have already done I've done an entire video breaking down how this leader works. So I'm just going to read through the list and we'll talk about it real quick. So I'm running 4 of the Blocker Ace, 4 of the Jozus, 3 Namual, 3 Viola, 2 Flampe, 4 Sanji, 4 Pudding. Remember, guys, Pudding can search up Sanji as well, even though this is not a Big Mom Pirates card. So 4 Pudding, 2 Katakuri, 2 Hiyori, 4 Zeus. This is a Big Mom Pirates card, guys. Don't forget that. 2 Charlotte Snack. Dawn ×1 when attacking, add the top and bottom card of your life to your hand. So that's the main theme, right? And then this character gains banish and plus 1,000 power for the turn. 2 Daifuku, 2 Charlotte Linlin, 2 Sabo. I'm trying this card out. It's another 5-cost target we can snag. I'm not fully all in on this one just yet, but I was kind of low on 5-cost targets. We'll have to work around this later. Running 3 of the 2-cost Ace. Only 3 of the 2-cost Ace. And then we're running 3 of this 5-cost Rush Ace, 2 Katakuris, 1K counter blocker searchable with the Pudding, and then 2 Gum Gum Red Rocks because it's Gum Gum Red Rock. The card's incredible. So that's the list, guys. I'm not going to do a deep breakdown or anything like that. You know, no deep dive in today's video, no crazy breakdown. But I'm just going to say this: I was messing around with the idea of what Sanji does, of what Daifuku does, and what Charlotte Snack does by taking cards from our life to get extra value. That's the main thing I've been trying to do here, and it's working out pretty well. I've only done limited testing. I also like the idea of adding Katakuri to the list so I can bounce cards out of my way. You know, like if I'm going against a you know, some type of Eustace Kid deck in green or something, I can just bounce cards out of the way with this, or the Red Rock. I can search this up though, which is nice with Charlotte Pudding and all that good stuff. All right, I'm done yapping for now, guys. I hope y'all enjoyed. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. Let me get the outro page on here. Guys, if you're liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, viewing, or using my TCG Player affiliate link, you're helping me out big time. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. If you're on this page over here, you know, if you're supporting me through Patreon or PayPal or just donating or whatever, I thank you so much for helping me out big time. To all the Playmat supporters, YouTube members, Discord community, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate each and every one of you guys keeping the channel going, keeping it all afloat. You guys are awesome. Yeah, again, couldn't really do this kind of thing without you guys, right? I'd have to get back to work. I'd have to go find another job. So thank you guys so much for all the support y'all give me. All right, I'm done. Please don't forget to like, subscribe. If you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, please don't hesitate to put those down in the comment section below or hop on the VV Theory Discord. Link is in the channel description. All right, guys, till next time, peace.